Hello, hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. All right, I know it's been a while since I've done a What's Up Wednesday, and thank you for your patience and understanding. It's just been a crazy last few weeks with a lot going on, and now I am not feeling 100% because of it. I'm a little run down and have this summer cold that's going on. And someone was in today and said their sons have it and they're on week 2. I'm like, great. So I'm gonna apologize now if I do have a little coughing spell. But I'm gonna just I'll get through this. I will get through this. It's good to be back on What's Up Wednesday. And we are going to be doing Elizabeth Crafts this evening. We were supposed to do it last week. And this is the Bloom Wildly collection. And since we didn't get to it last week, we're going to do it this week. All right. Now, to my surprise, is I went and checked to just make sure inventory because I always like doing a live that can and have the inventory to support the live. But as I was prepping and I looked at our website, a few of these are already sold out, which really surprised me. But I guess you're all loving the three-dimensional florals as much as I do. So if you are one of the people that do want to still get this collection, no worries. We'll have it back in next week. I do have it up on the site for pre-order. So if you want to purchase any of these that are just watch, some of them are on pre-order, but that will guarantee that it will be in your hands next week. All right. So who knew? Who knew this would sell out so quickly? So, all right. So I'm gonna go through the collection, and then we're gonna get into making 3 cards because I couldn't decide which floral to make with this collection. It is absolutely stunning. I mean, I love it because there's a poppy in there, and poppy is our logo, and there's a whole story behind the poppy. It's my dad's favorite floral, and that's why the logo was a poppy. So that is why I'm loving this collection. There's a poppy, so that's the wild poppy, and then we have the floral greenery for. I'm gonna just switch the camera here. 1 second here. There. There we go. All right, so then we have the floral greenery here, which I always love these sets because they are good fillers. All right, I love the little wheat stalk in there and the little grass stalk in there as well. So it's just good filler. Then we have the Blackfoot Daisy, which seems to be everyone's favorite. Very easy floral to put together, and you can create different looks with it. It's got the stems, it's got the leaves, so you can have some fun with this one. Then we have the columbine, which I'm loving. I was intrigued by columbine flowers because I just like the shape of them. They're very unique. The colors are always very lovely as well. Now I'm just going to put this one to the side because this is going to coordinate nicely with one of the stamp sets that we have in this collection. Then we have the stitched ovals. A couple releases ago, they had the stitched tags and stitched rectangles, or was it stitched squares? Maybe it was stitched squares. So they're just following suit with that, with the oval. And then we have the sparrow die. Now, this is the only one I'm not using this evening. It's pretty straightforward putting this together. I always refer to the picture that's on the packaging to help me with things. There's really no shaping with this one. It's just really assembly. So I did not do this one this evening, but it's really simple to do. Then there are 2 standalone stamp. Well, no, there's one standalone stamp set, which is the Bloom Wildly Sentiments, which has got all great verses that deal with florals and blooms and such. And then this is called Flower Centers number 3. Now this is the third in the series, and these will do the floral centers. They just add a little bit of texture and such. So for this one here, it really coordinates nicely with the columbine. Now we'll be using it for the poppy as well. But you can see that in the columbine, there is butterflies, all right? And so you can use the butterflies just as is, as they're die cut, and just ink them. Or you could do the stamps over top of them to give them a little detail. And then we also have, for the columbine, we also have this lovely shading to go in the middle of the florals, as you can see on the packaging here. And then you have other little floral centers. And those just add texture to the middles of your florals just to add more dimension, all right? So we'll be using those as well tonight. So let's get started. Now, I started with a lot of prep work done because I know when I get carried away with these flowers, There's a lot of inking, there's a lot of shaping, and it takes a lot of time. So my intention is to make 3 cards this evening. So I did a lot of the inking yesterday. I came home early yesterday, and did a little inking and shaping just to kind of quicken things for this evening. So thank you again for joining us this evening. If you're watching on the live, or on the replay, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you'll learn a tip or two with creating 3-dimensional florals. All right. So hello, Michelle. I see her comment there. How am I feeling better? I'm not there yet. I got this summer cold. I don't recommend it. Um, no nasal congestion. It's all in the chest. It's cough, and it's usually worse in the morning and at evening. So if I apologize if I go into a coughing spell, but I will manage. I'll manage. All right. So I'm better than I was. That's the main thing. All right. So we're gonna start with a poppy because of course that is my favorite, and of course we're gonna do a teal poppy. As you can see, I've got some prep work done already. And this one here is a really simple floral to put together. You don't need a whole lot to make this flower. I'm just going to grab the die. I'm going to show the die here. Mine has moved around in the packaging here. All right, so there is the main 3 dies. All right, that's going to create the flower. All right, and then you've got some leaves, and then you've got the buds. All right, you've got the flower centers, and then there's a little circular piece here. Those are the flower centers as well. All right, so really easy to make a poppy flower. So to make, and I just have this one here. All right, so how I'm doing it, everyone does it things a little bit different, but how I did is I took 2 of the same size, of the larger size, and then I went 1 down to create the inner size. All right, and that's going to create a poppy. It's once you get those little, I call them spider legs, the spider leg centers inside, that's where it really kind of creates that poppy look. So I've done these in a teal color because that is what I like. All right, so I am going to grab the inks because I do have one here to ink just to show you how I inked it. So I am using Distress inks. Those are my go-to for when I'm doing Elizabeth Crafts florals. All right, I just like the way they blend. So those are the ones I'm using. I'm just going to bring that down into camera so you can see that. So the colors I'm using. Okay, so I'm creating 3 florals for this card, 1 large, 1 medium, and 1 small. So to create a large, I cut 2 of the large and then 1 medium. That's going to create my large floral. And then for the medium, I have the 2 medium flowers or petals, and then 1 small. That's going to create my medium. And then the small one is going to be 3 small. All right. So not, like I said, it doesn't take much to create this floral. Then for each of them have one of those little spider centers. All right. So for each of them, I cut 2. So for the large, I cut 2 large. For the medium, I cut 2 medium. And for the small, I cut 2 small. Then I just did a bunch of buds and leaves. All right. And I've already colored them with green, and I use peeled paint for those. All right. But I do want to show you how I just really quickly colored them. And again, this would go with any color combination you want. If you wanted to make that kind of orangey red, if you wanted to make the pink, I obviously I'm doing teal ones, but whatever color poppy you want to make. I always like working with 2 tones of inks, like a medium tone and then that darker tone, or a light tone and a medium tone. All right, so so I started, because I wanted to do teal, I started with peacock feathers. And then I shaded it with Uncharted Mariner. All right. So really easy to do. And for those that have watched me, you've seen me do this before. It's not rocket science when it comes to inking these. The cardstock I am using, though, you can use any cardstock really, but I find you get the best results with using the soft finish cardstock from Elizabeth Crafts. And love this cardstock. I gotta see if I got a piece here. Of course, I can't grab it from my shelf. But this cardstock, it's a 25 pack. And I'm gonna bring it up to the camera and maybe you can see it. I don't know. It's got this like little dotty action. Oh, there we go. We've got a good view of it there. Little dotty action on it. It's got a nice soft finish on it. The other side on it, the flip side is flat. Now I like using this. It accepts ink really, really well. It allows for blending really, really well. And then for the shaping, it allows that me to shape really, really well. So I really like using the Elizabeth Craft soft finish cardstock. That is my choice. That is my preference. So whenever I do three-dimensional florals, I always use this paper. I just find it just goes shows just excuse me. It just the ink goes on so nicely and it shapes so well. Okay, so I'm going to do my first color here, and I'm just going to do peacock feathers. Now, when I do my florals, I really like using the finger daubers. You can use your brushes and such. I just find I have more control and more saturation of color with these guys. This comes in a whole pack. All right, so this is from Hunky Dory. I don't think we have any in stock right now, but we will. And you get all of the finger daubers in there in the case. All right, so you can have one for every color if you would like. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick up the ink, and I start in the center, and then in a rotating motion, I am just going to extend it to the edge of the petals. This creates more of a darker tone in the center and then a lighter tone on the edges. All right, so we've already got our, like, that's perfect shading there. All right, so you could leave it as that, but I like to add. So that, I mean, that was easy. And you can do front or back as well. Sometimes it depends on the floral. If you're going to see, you know, the tips of the petals, if they're turned up, you may want to. I didn't do that just for time purposes. I did not do that, but you definitely can. All right, so then I'm going to go to Uncharted Mariner. And I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to not go all the way to the end of the petals. All right, so I'm just adding that a little bit. And now we've really got a nice shade on there. And that's going to dry. As you can see, these ones are dry. These ones are a little, this one's wet still. So you can see the difference. It will fade a little bit as it dries. All right, so, but that's as easy as it gets. All right, so if you were doing these in a red tone, you would have a medium red that you would do the whole thing just like I did with my first coat with peacock feathers. And then you would take a darker red and then just kind of do it in the centers and doing that rotating motion to create that nice shading. Easy peasy. All right, so coloring is done. So now I'm going to go ahead and shape these. All right. All right, so there's different shaping tools out there. For this here, I am going to use, what am I using here? I am going to use, I forget what I used for this. I was playing around with it this morning. All right, for this one, I'm going to use a stylus. Normally I use a spoon, but because of the nature of these poppy petals, I'm going to use a stylus. All right. So stylus is just one of these metal tools with the round balls on the end of it. There are different shaping tools out there. This one here is the set I have. It's got a large ball and a medium ball, and then I have another tool that has a small ball on there as well. So as long as you have a large enough ball, you don't want a tiny one. You want to have something that's got a little bit of substance to it. And so what I'm going to do for each of these ones here, now these petals have little lines on there. All right, so little lines. So I'm just going to kind of alternate lines and just give a little push with that. Now you don't want to go through the paper. So I'm just skipping a line and then going down that line just to give it a little bit of shaping. And then I'm going to flip it over and then I'm going to do the lines that I did not do. All right. So I'm going to go on the lines that I did not do. And if you go offline, no worries. See, I went a little too hard there. I ripped the paper. All right, so we have that, and then I'm going to just take my stylus and kind of push in the middle. Now, if you want, on some of these, I did just kind of take my tool then and then curl down the edges. And it's just enough shape on there to really, when we layer this, it's going to give it that nice natural look. All right, so I'm going to do that really quickly on all of, oh my gosh, I can't pick these all up. All right, I'm going to do that really quickly. It's just a light pressure. And if you don't have a stylus, with the, like a medium-sized ball like this one, then go back to using that spoon, all right? If you have a little teaspoon, you can do that too. It's just the ball concentrates the the shaping just a little bit better. But you can use a spoon, all right? You're just going to use the tip of the spoon and then anything round to push in the middle. And again, if you want to round those petals down, you can. All right, so I'm going to go real quickly on these, and I'm going to continue using my stylus. I'm not wetting the paper either. I know some people will wet the paper. This paper just, it just shapes so well that I don't find I need to shape um, or wet the paper. To each their own. Debbie says when she uses a spoon, it dents the paper easily. Yeah, and that's why I love using the spoon. I just think it's the best shaper ever. I mean, you don't have to buy all the expensive tools sometimes. A spoon, it works. And honestly, back in the day, we used to just use styluses, and we would have to, roll and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll, and you would eventually get the petal to shape, and your hand would get sore. It would get sore. The spoon, I just think, is just an amazing tool to use for shaping these florals. And we'll use it on the next set of flowers. All right, so we got one more to do. And then we'll start putting this. Oh, then I'm going to do the centers. I'm going to show you how to do the centers. All right, so the centers, the little spider web legs, as I call them. Really simple to do again. I like using a stylus for this. All right, so I'm just going to pick these up. Hopefully you can see them. Oh, you can't see them on my little. Well, you're just going to have to trust me. You can't see them because I cut these out of black cardstock. I just thought we could color these, but I just cut them out of black cardstock. So I'm just going to use one of my larger balls here, and I'm just going to roll in the center. And as I roll into the center, the little legs curve up. All right, so let's see if I can do this. Hold this and turn and, all right. So it just creates that little domed center, all right, and curls up those little spider legs. All right, so those are done. All right, now I have the 3 little flower centers. All right, so we've got one large, one medium, and one small. Hi, Sherry. She's just asking, have you tried using crepe paper? No, but I saw Elizabeth Craft's post today of using crepe paper. That it's that, I don't know how to, it's not tissue paper, but it's, streamers are made out of it. And Elizabeth Craft did it, and it made the most amazing poppy. So it's kind of cool because you got some stretch in there too. And then she's also saying the Sizzix foam, and that's the flower foam. That's a really cool process to use as well. We don't carry that right now. We did back in the day. We've just never had a demand for it now again. But it's a fun product to use, flower foam. Basically, it's kind of like a thin sheet of fun foam. And again, you can shape it, you can heat it. Oh my gosh, the cat is running around he's hitting my lights, and oh my gosh. Um, sorry. And it's really a really unique product to work with. So I think there's a fly or a bug in my room here because that's the cat's chasing it. He literally ran into my light here. I got 2 big studio lights shining down on my desk, and he literally ran right into it. Okay, all right, so I have my flower centers here. Now I'm gonna bring in that stamp set because we're gonna add a little texture to these centers. All right, so I'm gonna use these kind of like little starburst ones. I don't know if those are the right ones to use. Those are the ones I'm going to use. I'm just gonna grab my um, block. Okay, first I'm going to color them. I'm going to ink them up. I'm going to do, what am I going to do? I'm going to do these in a pale, pale yellow. I don't know if that's the right choice, but I'm going to do that. All right, again, this is scattered straw distressing. I'm just going to grab a little bit of ink on there and just, ooh, that went on a little bright. That's okay. All right, so I've colored all of them just a bright yellow. Wasn't meant to be. Felt. Sherry's asking for felt. I've not tried felt. So when you get felt, you have to get the right, you want to get like a good felt. Don't get the cheap stuff from the dollar store. But you want to get a good felt, the wool felt, because that's going to die cut better. If you want to try it with felt, that would be very, very cool. I don't have any here. I can't try it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I've got the largest one now, and I'm just going to line this over top. And I'm just using black ink, and I'm using VersaFine Clair because that was what was right there. So it's going to give you this kind of bumblebee look, all right? So that is the large, and then I'm going to switch down to the medium. I suppose I could probably use the large one on all of them, but we're just going to use each of the sizes on the coordinating die cut. Okay. All right, now I do want to shape these, and maybe I shouldn't have used VersaFine Clair because that doesn't dry fast enough, but I'm going to flip these around. Oh my gosh, my cats are fighting now. They're hissing at each other. All right, I'm going to flip them around, and I'm going to use my stylus now, and I'm just going to roll it just like we did with the little spider leg centers, and just give it that little doming. All right, so you can see that they're like little cupped up now. Okay, we're going to put these together now. And I like to use, let's hope this works. No, all that time I had this plugged in, my glue, so I'm referring to my glue gun. I don't think this is charges anymore, or it didn't like the charger I used. Okay, so we're going to use white glue. Normally I would like to use a hot glue gun because you get that instant grab, but it's okay. All right, so here we go. I like to work on my foam mat when I'm gluing. I also like to have my stylus here. And we're going to use a good white glue that's going to glue or dry right away. So I'm using Bearly Arts glue. And I'm going to put a dollop of glue in the center. I don't want my flowers to fall apart, okay? And so I put a good amount of glue on there. Sherry, I'm not sure which ones. I didn't watch Liz's video and such. So if you can shoot me a message on which ones they are, and I could definitely tell you. All right. So once I put my glue, then I'm going to take the second large one, and I'm going to offset the petals. And now this is where my stylus comes in. And I like to just kind of push in the center. Sorry, my hand was in the way. And that's going to cup up these petals. And and I just hold it there for a second, and so it maintains its lovely shape. I know this is going to get flattened out, but as that glue dries, it's going to hold that paper somewhat in place to create that real dimension. All right, so then I'm going to put another dollop of glue in the center of this. And then I'm going to take now that medium size one, and I'm going to place that. And again, I'm going to grab my stylus and push down in the middle. And that is looking like a poppy already. Like, honestly, it's just beautiful. All right, so there's that. All right, then we're going to take our little spider web legs and do the same thing. A dollop of glue. You might not have to go as much now because these are smaller. You want to stick that in the middle as best you can. It's going to want to shift around because it's cupped up so much. All right, so then you can just push that down. Give it a few seconds. Thanks, Sherry. Give it a few seconds, and then you can do the second one. And I offset this one as well. as best you can. I mean, it's tricky to offset these smaller elements. All right. All right, take a look at this. Oh, that's so pretty. Lovely. All right, so I'm going to do all, and then we'll come back and put our centers in. All right, so I'm going to do this next one. So the next one is the medium. So we have 2 mediums and then 1 small. All right, so same thing. We're going to put a dollop of glue in the center, offset, and then I use my stylus to push down and hold for a few seconds. And then we'll do another dollop of glue and then put the small one in, again, offsetting. All right, and then we'll put the spider legs in. All right, and the medium one is done, and then we'll do the small one. All right, so here I go, really, really quick. All right, so there are our 3 poppies, large, medium, and small. All right, I'm going to put the centers in. And for these, I'm going to, because I want to keep that shape of them. Oh my gosh, everything's falling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a foam adhesive in the center. And then I'm going to place that didn't go right in the center. I don't know if I like it with those. I don't like that yellow. I'm taking it off, guys. I'm taking it off. I don't like that yellow on there. Now my spider just fell apart. So we're not going to put no centers. Maybe I'll put some gems in there. The yellow is a little too bright for me. So anyways, I showed you how to do those centers. I knew that yellow wouldn't be the right color. Okay. Let's just move them to the side. Now let's make a card with all this, all right? So let's bring back the other components. Oh, I got my buds here. So the buds, all right, so we have this bud here, which I just colored all green. All right, went a little bit darker on the main circular piece there. And then we have these 2 buds, and these are the ones that have the color starting to shoot out. So I colored them the same way. I did peacock feathers and then hit a little bit of Uncharted Mariner on there. And then all I'm gonna do is glue these together, okay? So they'll just fit over top of these. Okay, so then those are our buds. And once that glue dries, I can give them a little shaping as well. And we might as well shape a little bit on the leaves too. So I like to have a little bit of shaping on all my elements. So really easy to do. I'm just going to flip these upside down. All right, these should be glue. All right, I'm going to grab my spoon. And then I'm just going to start at the top of that leaf and just pull it down a little bit, and it's going to curl up. Now I'm working on the back side. And I'm just doing the top for these. And then I'm going to flip them over, and then you can hit a couple of those other little leaves with the spoon. Just enough. I'm pulling it towards the stem of that leaf. And now we've just got, you know, these crazy shaped leaves. All right. So not everything has to be shaped the same way. You can have some folding to the back and some rounding to the front. Okay. All right, this one here, these little buds, I'm going to take my stylus and just kind of shape in the center of them just to create that kind of domed look. All right, and that is done. All right, now we can put this card together. All right, so I was working on another project and I had this die set in front of me, so this is what I'm using. And this is a die set from Spellbinders. It's called Scalloped Frames and Bow. It's from Spellbinders. It's um and so it was just sitting here. I like this because it's got the scalloped frame, and then it's got the next layer down is just a regular, and then the next layer down is stitched. All right, so it's got lots of texture going on it. All right, so I'm just going to glue these together. I'm going to stamp a sentiment on there first. Debbie is asking, the one that I use, is it a regular size teaspoon or a coffee spoon? I don't know. Els gave me this one. So I'm assuming this is a coffee. This is a little coffee spoon. And then I also have in my kit a regular teaspoon as well. All right, for the bigger florals. So I have the little one. And if you are a collector of like those little coffee spoons, the teaspoons, I mean, I have a whole, my son, I gotta tell you this story. I've got a whole thing in my thing. I should pull it out just to show you guys because it's hilarious. Okay, my son was I don't know where he got that. I think they were cleaning out a house or something. His girlfriend's grandfather's house, whatever. Anyways, he comes home with big expectations. He's got this whole uh, look at this. It's like a treasure chest of all these little teaspoons. I don't know what he was thinking. He thought maybe he could sell them. But these are all these, like, I love these ones, like the little sugar spoons and such. There's such a wide variety in here. Anyways, if you have one of these, this is great a shaping tool. All right. So I haven't even gone through this. I've got to pick some out of here, I think, because they're just so pretty, so beautiful. But anyways, I laughed at him, and now he's moved out and he left me with it. Boys, 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 boys. All right. Sorry. That was totally like, didn't have to show you that, but I did. All right. So we're going to create a little verse on here. So Sherry's asking Kickstart project. Nah, was it a Kickstart? No, it was not a Kickstart project. Maybe it was. No, I don't know what it was for. I don't know. I have so many events on the go right now. So, okay. So let's do stand tall, bloom wildly, be uniquely you. That's I like that one. Oh, there's an idea. Debbie says I should sell the spoons in the store. We can all have one. All right, so I am going to just put this in kind of the top right hand corner. I'm just going to stamp this with black ink, making sure that it's straight. We're going to go for that. I don't think it was, sorry, I'm going back to your comment, Sherry, Kickstart. No, my projects were done a while ago, so it wouldn't be Kickstart. I think I was using it with, oh, I know, I was using it because I was doing the hero, the Halloween videos. Because I used it in what was today's video, the Boo Bash videos. All right. Stand tall, bloom wild, be uniquely you is what I have stamped on here. All right, so that turned out quite nicely. I like the little fonts on this. Very nice. Okay, and let's put this together now. All right. Now, I got to quicken up here because I want to do 2 other cards. And this was probably the simplest, so. All right, so let's just glue this on. And so I just went with, white and black. That teal is going to pop up nicely. I had seen a sample on Elizabeth Crafts with red, white, and black, and it was stunning. So I thought, well, we'll do the same with the teal. All right. So we decided this will go on my card front then. And so we're just going to layer these and create a little cluster. All right. So to glue these on, again, I would normally use hot glue, but because my glue is not working, my glue gun, so I'm just going to use white glue, and we'll have to just be patient. Now, usually I will hold this and then I can give it a little scrunchy and just position it. So I'm just going to create a little cluster in the corner here, making sure I do not cover my little sentiment I just put on. So I always like to put the flowers on first, all right? And I just glue the centers, all right? Because I want to be able to tuck all the other stuff inside or underneath. All right, so there's that. And now I'm going to all right, we're going to glue these on, and I'm going to trim them as I need to. I'm just going to rip them. Now, if you wanted these, I might put a little foam adhesive behind the cup so that they don't flatten out. And then I'm going to put a little dab of glue on the stem, and then I'm just going to kind of tuck it and leave it be. This one, I don't know, I got glue on it already. And then we'll put the leaves on. Okay. So I always like to dry fit first, get them kind of where I want them. Remember, this is still going on an A2 panel, so we still got some room. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Those leaves actually, like, honestly, like, once you put those leaves on, it just makes a world of difference. And then when I glue my leaves on, I literally just put glue at the base of it and then just stick them in and leave them be. And that one seems to be already stuck because I probably have that big gob of glue in there from the floral. So, all right, so there is our first card. All right, again, I had to put it on an A2 base. All right, so it's going to be a little bit bigger, but that turned out really, really nice. That teal against that black and white is beautiful. Debbie is just saying, I just mailed a couple of flower cards. The stamps were $2.61. I set one in regular envelope and the other in a bubble wrap envelope. Yeah, you know what? These are special cards, all right? You know, these are not going to go through regular mail. You got to pay the extra store postage for these ones. They're hand delivered cards otherwise, but they're little pieces of works of art, in my opinion, right? Like when you give someone one of these, they're like, it's a big wow factor, right? So with all the dimension on there. All right, so to finish this off, you could definitely add some pearls in the center or some glitter on here, which would be beautiful as well. A Wink Estella clear on there would be awesome as well. We could have spritzed this with a distress spritz as well before we started shaping them to really create a shimmery look as well. But that turned out pretty. I like that. I'm going to put that to the side to dry. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, get myself organized. All right, now the next one we're going to work with a few of the die sets. We're going to work with the oval as a base. we're going to work with the Blackfoot daisy and some of the floral greenery. All right, we're going to create a lovely cluster. So let me move some things around here. This one we're making into an a 5x7 card. All right, an A7 card. And I'm using paper from one of the floral collections, the rose collection, I think, from Elizabeth Crafts. I just had a couple of pieces here. So I just cut a 5x7 in one of the patterns. It was that pattern. It was one of the rose, I think. And ooh, yes, you know what? Oh, I don't have it here. But we do have them in stock, Sherry, the Uniquely Creative Black Shimmer pens. We got them back in stock. Then I went down to 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 in a pink. Then again, another pattern paper in that same line, 4.5 by 6.5. And then I just cut out an oval from that stitched oval set. All right, so we're going to create a cluster on there. Again, I've already done some of the shading on here. Now, this Blackfoot daisy, is that what it's called? Blackfoot daisy is easy to do. I wanted to keep it as a true daisy, so that means I left them white, and I just put the centers a little bit of yellow, and I just used a little bit of the scattered straw. And now to create these ones, you only need 2 flowers or 2 florals, and you need 2 of the same size. That is how I'm creating it. All right. So I'm obviously doing quite a few here because I have quite a few cut out here. So I'm doing 2 small, 2 medium, and 1 large. All right. So again, I don't think I left one here to color. But basically, I just took my finger dauber very lightly with the yellow and just colored the centers out just a tad bit. All right. Kept it very light. All right. And that's all I've done with this one. All right. So we'll shape them in a second. Then I cut the centers in for these ones. Now, this die set has quite a few different centers, so you can do different ways of this floral. So on the packaging here, you'll see that they really have a nice full one. They've done the little spider leg one, and then they have tiny little flowers on top of that. I didn't go because I knew I'd lose those little flowers. Look how small they are, but it is a nice texture. They have the spider ones, and then they have just regular long leg ones. All right, so I just chose the ones that look like little spider legs, like the last one. You can do whichever you want. I figured I'm going to put something in the middle of these ones anyway, so I think I've colored these all. So again, I've cut enough so that I think everyone's going to get 1 in the center. And then I use the foliage, the floral greenery, and I cut some wheat. All right. And I wasn't thinking, because I picked this paper first and then I die cut everything out. And then I'm like, oh, it's pink. The paper's pink. So I needed to bring some pink in. So I colored the wheat stalks pink. And then I had these other little branches here. I did them in a little bit of pink. And the pink I chose was Victorian Velvet on this. And then I added a little tea dye on these ones. All right. So then I have 2 more to color here. So I'm going to color these on camera. I guess I got to do the bases of these as well. Okay, so let me color these and then we'll get into shaping. All right, so these are the leaves from the Blackfoot daisy, these guys. And then this is from Floral Greenery number 4. All right, so these ones here I'm just going to do in a green. So I'm just going to use peeled paint for this one. And again, I like using a finger dauber. That is my go-to for when I'm coloring the florals. All right, just pick it up. And honestly, I'm going to go, oh, that's good and inked. I forget that I've inked my, my distress inks. And so I don't need to really scrub my ink pads to get a lot of ink on my dauber. So I always start kind of in the center and then kind of extend it out to the outside. So you can see I've got a nice variation of color on there, darker on the inside and then fades out to the edge. All right. So don't need to do any shading with that. I mean, that has done, my pressure has done it nicely. Always start from the center, move your way to the end, and then you'll get that different variation of that color tone. All right, so I'm happy with those leaves. They turned out pretty good. All right, so then these guys here, what do I want to use? I don't think I pulled out any inks for this one. Okay, let's do, I'm going to do a little combination of green and brown, but I want to keep it lighter than the peeled paint. So I'm going to grab bundled sage, and then I'll use tea dye. Do I still have the tea dye here? No. All right, brush corduroy it is because that's the first brown I grabbed. Okay, so we're gonna do these guys and a little bit of say bundled sage and mix it in with a little bit of brown. All right, so this one's a little bit drier. Okay, so for this here, I want to concentrate basically I'm shaking the camera, I know. I'm gonna do the leaves more in that bundled sage. And then we'll go in with this, do the stems and then kind of blend with that brown. Now I am using my grip mat, which is holding these pieces down quite nicely. So as I'm applying the ink, my die cuts are not moving around as much. They're kind of being held with the grip mat. Okay, I'm happy with that. I want to keep it light. All right, and then we're going to do the brown, and this is brushed corduroy. And now I'm just going to kind of just go up the stem. Does not need to be perfect. In all honesty, I'll probably be cutting this part anyways, as filler. All right, so let me just bring that up so you can kind of see. I mean, easy peasy. All right, we're just adding some ink on there. All right, I want to color the stems on this guy, so I'm just going to grab my peeled paint one and just run that down. There's enough ink on my little dauber. Okay, and those will be covered. So, all right, those are all done. Let's get into shaping now. Okay, so for our daisies, this one I'm going to use a spoon. And of course, I put the spoon away. All right, so the spoon, I'm just going to lie at the outer edge of my petal and then add a little pressure, not too much pressure. And it's just going to kind of curl up those petals nicely. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all of them. So I'm going to do that fairly quickly. It's not a hard technique. All right. I am on a foam pad. All right. This is from Spellbinders, that fits in their uh, stack trays. And it's just a perfect, to me, it's a perfect density. It's not too squishy. It's got some density to it. So, all right. So you can see shaping with a spoon goes very quickly. All right, last ones, then we can start putting these together. Okay, just gonna put them to the side because we gotta do the flower centers. I should have done these. These ones here, again, we're gonna do the same thing with the stylus and just roll in the center, and it will cup up those little legs. Like a little sunshine's all over my pad there. All right. Okay, let's put these guys together now. All right, big, big, big. Okay, so again, we're just going to put a spot of glue in the center and offset those petals. And I am going to use my stylus. Now, I'm not going to push down as much as I normally do. I don't want that real cupped look for these ones. I want to have these laying a little flat. All right, and then we're going to put the centers in. All right, look how pretty. Just a beautiful flower. Lovely. All right, let's just finish the rest of them up really quickly now. Well, you know what? I think I'm going to do a double center because I think that's what I cut. So we'll get these all together and then I'll put the centers in really quick. Okay. So I cut enough centers to do double center in the side and sides. So I'm just going to put them in, like I said, real quickly. And it does add a little bit more. I think it looks better with them actually. All right, last one. And then we're going to start putting this card together. All right, there are my florals. They're lovely. All right. Okay, let's, before I do that, I need to, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to just, this grass here, I'm going to just use my spoon. I should have probably colored both sides, but I'm just using that, both sides, alternating the petals, one up, one down. I'll probably end up cutting these apart too. Okay, then these ones here, I would just kind of very carefully just use this tip of the spoon just to curl them up, all right? Front and back, just to give them some, oopsie, now that was maybe a little too much. Okay. Now you could go with a stylus behind each of these kind of rounded leaves, and it would dome them, but I'm not going to do that. Maybe if I had more time, I would, but okay, that is shaped. They are shaped. Let's put this card together. All right, again, I'm going to put the card base together really, really quickly, just layering those components on. And I would typically probably ink the edges as well on these, but I really want to get to the last card. So I'm going to omit the inking the edges. Okay. I guess maybe I should put a verse on here too. Let's stamp a verse real quickly on that oval. I'm not quite sure where. You know what? I won't do a verse. I'll add it afterwards. All right. So let's start creating a little cluster of these lovely florals on this. All right. So we're just going to create, actually the yellow doesn't look so bad on that pink. All right. So we're just going to create and then we'll start inserting. All right. So start with the biggest one. And I'm going to add a little pressure as I am gluing them on. And I'm just going to fluff up those. I got flattened out a little bit. All right, so there is my florals. They will all now come to life when we start putting this greenery in. All right, they're all stuck down nicely. Okay, so I'm going to start with the ones that come with these florals. The grass, the leaves, I don't know what you want to call it. And I'm going to cut these in half. All right, and then normally I dry fit. I'm just going to go rogue on this here. And now I'm just going to kind of sit them underneath some of these florals. All right, so there's my first. And you can see those flowers are starting to come to life now just with that little bit of greenery. Okay, next I'm going to go into, I think, these guys here. And again, I'm going to cut these apart. There's too much of these to be in one spot. So I just want to trim them down. And these are just good fillers. I'm just going to kind of insert. Now, if you feel like you are going to have one of these cut edges exposed, then just clean it up. All right, so there's that. Get in there. All right, so there's that. Now this one here, I'm going to cut into even smaller stems. And now I'm going to have them coming in from between the flowers here. So it's just going to create a lot more dimension. And this tiny little guy, where are we going to put him? Okay, and then now we're going to go in with these guys here. And again, I'm just going to rip these apart. I'm going to clean this one up. Okay, so it's really coming in. There's lots of fullness going on there. We've got our little wheat now. These ones here, unfortunately, the grass, the little leaf on here is not going to show. So I'm going to use that. And all right, I'm going to use these little leaves because I don't want them to go to waste. So I'm just going to clean them up. And again, you're not really going to see, you're just going to see the tips of them coming out. So, all right. And then this one here, let's. All right. There is that one, really quick and simple. I have room for a little verse here, so maybe I'll put a little tag of some kind there with one of the smaller verses, but that's beautiful. I want to, I want to spray this with a shimmer spray. I think that will be beautiful. I'm going to put something in the center of our florals as well, but there is a lovely little bouquet. All right. The oval acts as a base there to for all those florals, but that turned out awesome. Better than I anticipated. All right. So that's card number 2. Let's move to card number 3. All right. So this is the one with the columbine, and I really wanted to show you the stamp set. Really easy, again, floral to put together. Let me grab it. Where is it? All right, so there is this one. Again, there's only two layers for the flowers and then the centers. All right, so really not a hard one to put together, but we do need to do a little stamping on this as well. So we're going to do an A2 card for this one. I've already done, like I said, most of the inking here. I need a bigger desk here. All right, so I did a bunch of leaves, and again, I've just used peeled paint to color them. And then for the flowers, there's 2 parts. There's the pointy one, which in my opinion, I think if you layered this together, you could make a nice poinsettia. Just saying. All right. I mean, just offset them. It's going to make a beautiful poinsettia. Not today, but it will. All right. And then it comes with the rounded ones. All right. So I left 2 of them not colored so I can kind of show you the process of coloring them. Then there's a bunch of stems. There's buds. All right, so these are the 2 I have to color and the flower centers. Okay, so there are these little buds, all right? That's where these little curved ones are. So I'm going to show you how to color them, and then we'll do the stamping. All right, so for our rounded ones, these are the ones that are in the center. It's kind of a lighter color. I did shaded lilac first, and I wasn't thrilled about that. So then I went in with seedless preserves. All right. So again, you can mix and match your inks and colors and such. That is not. All right, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of seedless preserves. And again, I started in the middle and kind of went right to the outer edges of the petal. And I wanted some of that shaded lilac to come through, so I didn't want a full coverage. So you can kind of see, and that will dry a little bit lighter. So that was all I did for those. So I did a whole color, the whole petals worth of shaded lilac, and then just highlighted it with a little bit of seedless preserves. And then for the outer one, I took wilted violet. And this one I colored. This is a pretty intense color. It's nice and dark, and I wanted it pretty intense. So I went pretty heavy-handed on this. And then I hit the edges with the seedless preserves. And that is how I colored that. That will lighten up a little bit, but it's very pretty. All right, so it's quite tense and then dark, but it will lighten up a little bit. All right, now we have these guys here, and I did the same thing. I added a little bit of wilted violet and then hit the edge with the seedless preserves. I think I just did the wrong edge. All right, so there is those ones. All right, easy peasy. Okay, now I'm gonna do the centers really, really quick. And we're gonna do those in yellow. So again, I'm just gonna use scattered straw. And maybe tone it down with a bit of brown. I just saw what time it is, and I'm like rushing now. All right, so I'm just going to take whatever's left on my brown sponge and just kind of hit the top and tone that yellow down. Okay, we're going to stamp now. So the stamp set. All right, so I'm going to use these ones here. And I need a larger stamp block. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of distress inks and stamping. So I just took a purple of an ink that I know it's going to stamp well, which is my Simon Hurley one. You could definitely do it with the distress ink. It's just I don't like the way they work on. So I'm going to use the Simon Hurley Crown Me. And this is going to get stamped in the center. So you're just going to center this as best you can. And that, I'm not loving how that's stamped either. So we're just going to go with it, everyone. We're just going to go with it. I don't know if it's maybe too dark to my liking. All right, now we're going to go to the smaller ones for the smaller. All right, I might just tone that down just a little bit. I'm not loving it so much. So I'm just going to grab some of the seedless preserves and let's just going to go a little bit and just darken it up a little bit. It looks a lot darker on camera. I'm just looking at the camera now and I'm like, oh my God, that looks like a hot mess, but it's really not that dark. It just looks darker. All right, then hopefully that will tone it down just a tad bit. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and shape these and then get these together. Okay, so for these guys here, I'm going to lay them face up, and I'm going to use the spoon to shape them. All right, so I'm just laying that teaspoon on there. I'm adding quite a lot of pressure on there. I really want to get some nice creases into the petals there. All right, so they don't look so bad now. The ink has like sunk in and did its thing now. I shouldn't have reacted the way I did. All right. Those are done. And then for these guys here, I'm going to flip these to the back side and shape them. Again, I'm going to use that spoon. And I'm adding a good amount of pressure on there. You can see that they're really kind of curling up. All right. So I'm going to do that for all of them. All right. And then we might as well do our little floral centers. Let's round them up. Again, I'm going to use a stylus. And let's put these together. Okay, so we're going to start with the largest one, and we're just going to kind of very carefully put those down flat. We don't want to flatten out the curves that we just did. I'm going to put a spot of glue in the center, and then I'm going to find my big floral, and we're going to place this on there, offsetting the petals, and then I'm going to grab my stylus and give it a little pressure for the center. Now, this is one we probably should have inked the back side of it, because as you put that pressure on there, you can see the white, all right? So this is definitely one that you want to ink on the back side. So I'm just going to just kind of curl them so you don't see that white so much. All right, and then let's put the center in there. Much better with a little bit of brown ink on there. All right, so there is our little columbine. All right, so pretty. All right, let's do the rest of them really, really quickly and do them both at the same time here. I know I'm off camera here for this one here. All right, so there are our little columbines. All right, what's our time here? Okay, let's get this finished up. All right, now to create the little buds, you're going to need, this is a big one, and this is a big one, and this is, okay. So to create a bud, you're going to find, there's 3 pieces to create the bud. There's going to be the middle piece, which has got the little point, the really pointy end, and it goes straight up. And then you're going to have one that points to the right and one that points to the left. And you are just going to build now on top of this. So I'm going to use my tweezers. And you're just going to put some dabs of glue. And, oopsie, this is going to fit right along. They kind of fit right on top of each other. It's going to match the curvature. And then this one is going to be the same. And that is how you create this fun little columbine bud. All right, so we've got that one. So we've got another one. I'm going to do these really, really quick. All All right, 2. And you can actually, if you don't want to match them up, you can actually extend these and have it almost a wider open bud. Like it's almost a bud that's, you know, starting to open up. So you can just kind of make it a little bit wider. All right, last one, and then let's put these guys together. Okay, let me just do a little bit of tidying up here. All right, we've got a couple of stems here. Not that one. Green, green. Oh, I lost one. One missing in action. Oh no, there it is. It's in my thing. Okay, I'm just gonna glue the buds on these guys, and then we're gonna put this together. So there's 2 stems. There's a straight stem and then a stem with a leaf. Does it matter what goes on what? Nope. All right, we'll let those dry. And now let's grab our little A2 panel here. All right, so A2 purple cardstock here. That's our card front. This is a pattern paper from Dare to Be Artsy. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's got that on the back. All right, I love the purple. It was just a scrap I had, so we're gonna glue those together. And I just left just like a 1/16 of an inch showing around the perimeter of my card front here. All right. Now I felt building on the polka dot was going to be a little too much. It was a little too bright. So I cut one of those stitched ovals out of vellum, and I thought that'd be nice. And I would like to stamp a little verse up in the corner, I think. So, or maybe in the middle. I got glue right in the center of that. You know what? I'm not going to do that because it's going to take too long to dry. All right, let's just go ahead. I'm going to put this on. Now, vellum and glue don't mix. You know that, right? So you want to put the glue where you know that it's going to be covered by florals, because otherwise you're going to see that glue. We don't want to see that glue. Okay, so let's go ahead and now, I should have not put that glue right in the center. We're just going to build. All right, we're going to do something like this and then build up our greenery and buds around it. All right, so little spot of glue in the center, and I'm going to use my stylus again to hold it, to tack it down. Okay, so you know how much I didn't like that ink in the center with the stamps? I like it now. It really creates an extra little layer on there. So it really wasn't that bad. All right, and this one here we're going to put right at the top of our oval. All right, I did not shape our buds, so I'm going to do that real quick, and that's just going to be like a little stylus action, or you could use your spoon as well, just down this back of the center. It'll be a little wonky to shape because of the glue that's on there, but just add a little extra pressure. It will work. All right, so let's get our buds in now. And again, I might put pop dots behind these, little foam. just so that that shaping maintains. All right, so there's our buds on there. And now we're going to put the leaves on there. So I'm just going to flip these upside down really, really quick just to add some shaping and then glue them down. And then this card will be done. All right, so again, I'm just going to use my spoon. I'm going down that main leaf on the back, and then I'm going to flip it to the right side up and then just shape the little leaves just to give them some dimension. Okay, now let's get these glued in. I love it when the leaves go on because it just adds to these florals. All right, there is the columbines. Oh my gosh, they turned out so good. All right, so you can see that little ink centers. I mean, it really adds some shadowing and some texture in there. Again, I'm going to add some pearls or some prills in the center of them. If you're not familiar with what prills are, they're little mini micro pearls that will fit nicely in there. Yes, we do have them in stock as well. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you, and we're not going to get to them, but I will do them off camera, are the butterflies. I did cut some butterflies somewhere. And so you can ink these ones, or you can use the stamp sets as well. So I'll probably ink and then do the stamping over top to give them that texture. And then I'll add them to each of the cards because I do have enough here. All right. So I will do that. So they're really simple to do. So I don't need to show you that. So let's just bring out the cards really, really quick. We have the Columbine. We've got the poppies. And then we have the Blackfoot daisy working with foliage number 4 or floral greenery number 4. I'll finish these off camera. I'm going to take pictures of them. We'll post them tomorrow morning right here on our Facebook page so that you can kind of see the finished samples. But they turned out well. I'm actually really impressed. How well the Columbine really turned out. I love the poppies, and this is just beautiful. So I'll do the finished little touches, adding the pearls and the prills in the centers, and adding verses and such to finish them off. And then, like I said, I'll take pictures and post them for tomorrow morning. So thank you for joining us. I know I went a little long. I try to keep it in an hour, but that was a lot to fill in, these three-dimensional florals, 3 cards. So thank you again for joining me live, and then for those that are watching on the rewatch. And be sure to follow us on YouTube, our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page on both channels, so you can get all the knows and hows to do everything. All right, everyone, I got to call it a night because I got a meeting in half an hour. So I got to call it quits now. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.